What is going on, everybody? This is John with ACTION-FLIX.com coming at you with another edition of my ACTION-FLIX podcast that I do on my YouTube channel. And I got a special ACTION-FLIX podcast tonight. I have a very special interview with a couple gentlemen lined up, and we are going to be talking about comic books and action movies. And for those of you not in the know, and if you follow my website, you should be in the know, there was this crowdfunding campaign started a while ago for a little comic book called Collision Force. And if you're a fan of 80s action, Commando, this one over here, where am I pointing? There I am. And comic books in general, G.I. Joe on steroids, all kinds of good stuff. This Collision Force is the comic book for you. And these gentlemen created probably the greatest love letter and homage to that era of action cinema and comic books too. And I have got them here tonight to talk about the birth of it, how it's going, where we're at, and just all the details and the plot and all the wonderful characters that come along with it. So first I'm going to bring in Jarrod. Jarrod, how you doing?
Hey, John.
How's it going?
It's going pretty good, man. This is such a great experience. I'm very excited.
Listen, anytime somebody says it's a great experience coming on my show, I'm a little fish in a big pond. So it's like anytime somebody says it, yeah. And here is Joe. Joe, how you doing?
I'm doing spectacular.
All right.
Thanks for having us, John.
Thanks for coming on board. And just to give a little history, we were supposed to do this a little while ago, but I live in Panama City Beach, Florida, and that means it rains pretty much every day at one point or another. And I was supposed to do an interview with these two gentlemen. And then right before my power went out, and I was sitting there looking at a blank laptop, and I had to email and be like, I don't think it's going to happen. And they were all cool about it. And they're like, yeah, totally understandable. So we are talking. Finally, we got our schedules all worked out, and we are talking Collision Force. So before we get started, I just got some artwork that I'm going to throw out there that is freaking awesome. So here's like one of the covers. You had a couple covers, did you not?
JC Grande.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Well, go ahead. Explain who did it and talk about it.
So this is our second cover by JC Grande. He's this amazing talent. He just blows us away, man. Joe found him on a page, and he's just been blowing our minds with his artwork.
JC, I found him on Facebook. He does a lot of indie comics, and we're really excited to work with him on this issue. He also did some pinups for us, and we look forward to collaborating with him again too on issue 2.
And I love how you can see the guy he's about to cut up in the silhouette of the chain. It's kind of like Wolverine's claws, and you see the Hulk's like image. Like I got that kind of vibe out of it. So yeah, that friggin' rocks. And then here's the one I used for my thumbnail. This one's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
The picture's not showing all of it, but as you see the comic book, there's a lot of body parts flying around as this guy's.
It's iconic, man.
It is. All right. So basically, how you guys I'm going to ask questions, but you guys you can both jump in because they're questions for both of you pretty much. Except for the first couple. Jarrod, I'm going to ask you first. How did you get involved in the process, and then Joe, you can chime in from there.
All right. Well, so Joe and I went to the same university, the University of Pittsburgh. We're both from Western Pennsylvania, and I would say I think it was our junior year. We're both writing majors, and we just gravitated towards each other. Joe was wearing wrestling shirts. I had crazy movie shirts. And I was like, I bet this guy is, on board. And so after a few weeks, we start talking after the class. Of course, he's into wrestling. So we start having Monday Night Raw viewings every week. And then we have the same comic book store we go to. And then we just had so many adventures over the years, which included going to a bunch of WrestleManias before I moved to LA.
So Joe, what'd you think of Jarrod when you like the same thing where you're like, hey, this is the kind of guy I want to hang out with?
Yeah, we were in a writing class, and he wrote a story that was kind of an homage to Oz, probably my favorite TV show of all time, the old HBO prison show.
Yep. Oh yes.
And started talking to this crazy kid. Most of the kids in our writing class were writing about like how sad they were and like their little slice of life. And both Jarrod and I were like, what can we blow up? Who can get killed in our stories? We were really pushing the envelope, and we started talking about Collision Force back then. So this has been a long time in the making, about 20 years in the making.
Oh wow. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
So okay, so you guys known each other for a long time, so that's super cool. Like you pretty much know probably what the other one's thinking before you say it, which is
Yeah.
probably helps in the thought process and everything. So take us through. So okay, so obviously you had to be comic book lovers. Am I correct in saying this?
Yeah, so we loved the comic books. There was a local comic book store we'd go to called Phantom of the Attic, and from that, like, so I grew up on Rob Liefeld and Youngblood and all that type of stuff. But
He's freezing.
Joe will be connected to you, where he is absolutely obsessed with Larry Hama and GI Joe. Now I only got the GI Joe figures, and I get a couple issues. Joe has every issue of GI Joe ever made. He worships at the altar of Larry Hama, and so that's kind of where we mesh in our comic book love.
So okay, so, well, Joe. I think you and I are friends now, even though we don't know each other. If you're like, I am. Listen, I remember the day back in 1982 where I walked into. It wasn't a comic book store. That came later, but I walked into a convenience store and they had the rolling, comic books, and and then that first issue was like, I'm old. I was there as like the day one it came out, and I was like, I knew absolutely nothing about it, and I was just like, what is this? And you got guys got leaping off tank, firing machine guns and stuff like that. One guy's got a like a rocket launcher and everything. So it's like, yeah, I was like, I'm sold. And so Joe, talk about like your first experience with GI Joe.
Growing up, watched the cartoon. I specifically remember my first action figure was Shipwreck, and picked up, I think, GI Joe Special Missions. It was either 14 or 16. It's my first comic book. Still have it. When I met Larry Hama several years ago, had him sign it, like this old beat up copy that's been read, 100 times since I was a kid. And, love G.I. Joe, read all the incarnations, and, Collision Force is kind of our take on, mashing up 80s action movies with G.I. Joe. What's an R-rated G.I. Joe without the sci-fi? It's Collision Force. And it's kind of our vehicle of, our hero, Lars Bowman, is this throwback to, Arnold Schwarzenegger or, Bruce Willis, in the 80s, just this monster who loves America and is completely unapologetic about it.
I love it. That's the best. He's a monster that loves America. There you go. Like how can you, like, I love the names too. Like, obviously Lars Bowman, he's the main guy. Then you got his dad. Well, he's not his biological father, is he? It's like,
no.
He fought. And I love the history. Like the first issue, kind of like how these two meet is kind of interesting. And I'll let you guys talk about that in a second. But then I got like Ripper. Is Ripper like a more like Timber, Snake Eyes' wolf? Is that like is that a homage to him?
Yeah, in a Collision Force kind of way, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, he's a little bloodier than Timber.
Yeah, Ripper's kind of got an attitude problem.
And Jarrod came up with this ridiculous dog. It's a coyote dog. He's like, this is a coy dog. This is Lars's dog. Like, what's a coy dog?
Yeah.
Look it up. It's weird, but it's super fun.
Okay, so like, again, and we'll go over the characters here more, because there's a whole group of and I love that real quick though, what was your thought process behind the names? Did you just sit there like at a table one day and just thought stuff up, or like were you watching movies and then they kind of gave you ideas?
Some of them, we hashed it out, but one of them, Joe's giving a tip of the hat to his friend.
Okay.
And then others is we did have like the Bosworth, I think, is one. Yeah, we have, of course,
Chase Bosworth. Yes, I got that one. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a homage to one of my buddies too, who Chase is a riff on his name, and he's about 260 pounds. He's a big dude. Oh. So it really fits into the whole Bosworth realm as well.
Yeah, he kind of he's not as blonde, but yeah, it's like I could totally see it. So that's pretty cool. All right, so you guys have this thought process. You you love comics. You're good friends, and it's like just take us through how you created it, and then how you were okay, this is what we got it, because obviously, like, when you did the crowdfunding project and everything, I was late to the party. I'm sorry. I was like, by the time because whoever on Instagram friended me, and then I was like, what? I go, what am I looking at right now? And I'm like, this is freaking awesome. And then I'm like, and then I was gonna do something then, but of course I'm known for my work getting in the way and everything. So I was late to the party, but
just in time, maybe.
Listen, I'll pat myself on the back in a minute, no worries. But so like, just talk about, like, was it always going to be like, hey, okay, we're going to get this started, so like we was the Kickstarter thing or always part of the process, or was that something that you had to reach for towards, to reach a goal?
So initially it was, when we talked about Collision Force back in the day, it was kind of like this crazy movie universe type of thing. But as the years went on, I moved to LA and, started getting screenwriting and, had some near misses and adventures. And then when COVID happened, Joe started betting on UFC and he got very successful at it.
Oh,
and so he contacted me and he was like, hey, I'm sitting on some cash. Do you want to do Collision Force as a comic? And I was like, yeah. Instantly. And so for that, we had to shift our thought process. So it wasn't really a movie. It was kind of where we started pushing in the G.I. Joe stuff more and mythology. We really have, like, behind the scenes, we have a huge mythology for Collision Force, but we want every issue to be self-contained and wild. And it all is eventually going to lead to a huge story, but we're going to stick with the rule that every issue has to be its own ride,
So Joe, talk what's your system for the UFC? How did you become, did you just go by like people's like their records and like
Jarrod's being a little generous, and back in the day too, in like that 2018, 2019, 2020 period, all those gambling companies were just like throwing money out, right? Like, here's these incentives, and they were just going crazy. And I'm like, okay, I did all right, but I soon learned that the money that I had made was nowhere near enough to fully create an awesome comic book. So there were a lot of eBay sales along the way too, to continue to fund Collision Force. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of one of those now or never moments, where Jarrod and I are, not the young men that we used to be.
Not 21.
And, had a little extra money, like, let's do it, man. And it took a few years, a lot of learning along the way, and we were hoping to get potentially picked up by a publisher, but that didn't happen. And now with what's happening in the comic industry, particularly in independent distribution, I'm glad it didn't. With Kickstarter, we can fully control our own destiny, do exactly what we want. No rules, no restraints. You just go and you do your own thing. And we were lucky to have a lot of great family friends and meet some new friends to purchase Collision Force and support us, that we're able to start production on our second issue and hopefully get that out in maybe Q1 2026, and then the first issue here. I just got my proof, and we'll be getting the actual comics like probably next week or so, and send them out to our backers. And then we'll, have more copies to sell as well. So, we're really excited to finally get it out to the world.
So how, like the campaign you just like, was that for the first? Like, are you guys have to do like more, like to get more issues funded? Is that how it works? I'm a total novice, so I have no idea.
Oh, Kickstarter, what we did, we paid for the book, or basically all the production costs, and, had the book done. But guess what? You got to print it.
Right.
And then if you want like a cool shirt,
baby.
That costs extra too. So
I want that shirt, by the way. If you don't send it to me, I'm gonna be super pissed off. By the way.
I just got it yesterday. Love it. But printing a comic book takes some dough, and also you have to figure out, well, geez, how many do I print? So you put it out on Kickstarter, and that way you have customers, and then everything over the goal that we raise, instead of taking any money for ourselves or paying ourselves back for the first issue, we're putting that straight towards the production costs of the second issue for our artists, our colorists, our letterers, and we want to keep this train rolling. We want to do at least 5 or 6 issues more if we can, and just make each issue more explosive and crazier than the last.
So like then getting it, like how does it work, like getting it into the comic book shops and stuff like that so people can see it and buy it off the shelves? Is that a whole nother process?
Yeah, that seemed to be the issue we ran into with the publishers, where they all said, yeah, it was a great book, but they were like, where's the other 5 issues? Because I thought coming from an entertainment background, that it would be like doing a pilot for a TV show.
Right.
And then you'd go to a publisher and they'd be like, all right, this is a great pilot. Because we lucked out and we got an amazing artist for our first issue, Chris Johnson, who has since blown up and gone into Image, and he has a bunch of books. Like one of them is Rifters. He's doing a lot of stuff. He's like exploded. And I figured that'd be enough. But when they came back, they said, no, there needs to be 6 issues because then we can make a trade and it guarantees profitability. And so we were kind of like, oh, all right, we were on our own. But it makes us independent. And like Joe was saying, there's no guardrails if we go direct to consumer. And if we can create our own fan base, because I think this is really fun and cool, and if people get behind it, then we could go for it as long as we can fund it. Like me and Joe are in this for the long run.
So do you guys have the second issue? Like, is it physical or is it still like in your minds?
Right now we're in this. We have the outline, and Joe and I are scripting. The script should be done in a week or so, and then then the art begins. Where we still have to nail down an artist because, like I said, Chris blew up, and now he's onto Image and greener pastures. He might be able to sneak back for a cover or a back store, one of the backups, but that's not guaranteed.
Oh, okay. So let me bring this up now. So this is from my article, and
so good.
So I'm a writer. If you didn't know, like I was the guy like back in high school, like when he had to do like thesis papers, like he wrote it the night before, and like my teacher would be like, A+, and I was like, you must have worked long and hard. I'm like, yeah, about 2 hours last night. I'm like, I don't know why, but it's like when I write, it's just like even my ex-wife was like, wow, you can really make words out of stuff. And I'm like, I don't know, it's again. So my review title was Collision Force's glorious throwback retro comic book action laced with horror-worthy bloodshed and bombastic carnage and chaos. If that's not a title, I don't know what the F is.
Exactly.
I'm like, because listen, like I said, I came on board late, and here's the funny story, and I'll tell it now. It's like, so you guys had contacted me. I was like, yeah, I totally want to help you guys out. I totally want to support this. I'm totally into this. This looks freaking awesome. Then you sent me the first issue, via email, and I read it, and I was like, yes, this is like G.I. Joe on steroids. Like if G.I. Joe took chainsaws and saw it up through Cobra Troopers and stuff like that. But again, like I said, like my job, like I'm an assistant manager at a trampoline park in Panama City Beach, and it's like it's the summertime sucks because it's yeah. So just imagine what I'm dealing with, and I'm like, and then it's like I kept going on the internet, and I'm like, and I kept your feeds kept coming up because we had friended each other, and you're like 3 days left. I'm like, oh good, I have 3 more days. I'm gonna do something. And 2 days left. I'm like, oh good, I'm gonna do something. I'm like, they're like, what? Like 12 hours, and I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, I'm gonna be late to the party. So I'm like, I totally wrote this that night and I sent it to you guys, and I don't know, you guys say, you could I'm not gonna say it, but you're like, this pushed you over the edge in terms
you did, man.
I have no idea if it did or not, but
we were staring at that. We had kind of stalled, and we were right before our final stretch goal to get the decisive victory. And then this review came in at the last second, like a good action movie always does. And you came through, man. And then our numbers just blew past the final stretch goal and ensured issue 2, baby.
Yeah, well, I am very sought after in the action crowd. No, I'm just kidding. When you guys told me, I was like, that's freaking awesome. Because like I said, I'm a little fish in a big pond. I'm not JoeBlow.com or anything, but it's like I do what I can. And my website, I mean, I promote all action, whether if it comes from Disney or if it's small. I focus more on the smaller independent guys because they're the ones that need help like you guys in terms of getting your product out there. So that's what my website became known for. And I'm starting to get more into comic book because like I moved here a couple years ago and I didn't have any comic book stores where I lived back in New Hampshire, where I was living for a decade. So when I got back into comic books, I'm like, this is right up my alley. So like, let's just go through some of the artwork here. Yeah. So these here. Okay, here we go. Here's the team, if you will. So let's just go through each. So we got Lars Bowman and his dad Prescott Bowman. Talk about the history, like, because I love how these two meet, because basically Prescott saves Lars as a child. He goes on a mission, and well, you guys go, like, whoever wants to chime in, go for it.
Yeah, well, Jarrod has this crazy mythology of collision force, and in today's realm of comic books, if you're a comic book reader, I mean, you can stretch an origin story across 6 issues, 12 issues. That's you're telling an origin story.
Right.
And I said, Jarrod, you read Fantastic Four #1? You know how long it takes them to tell the origin of the Fantastic Four? Like 2 pages, 3 pages.
Yep.
Let's do that. and Jarrod came up with this crazy 2 double spreads to tell the origin of collision force in 4 pages. I love it.
Yeah, and we're not going to spoil anything because I want people to be able to see the the finished product. But then you got, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it, Chi Diakis. Is that his name? Is that how you pronounce it? Dekese. All right. Like, who's this guy? Like, I read it so that you guys tell the audience like who that guy is.
He's Bowman's conscience and kind of the heart of the team. If Bowman didn't have him, I would think that Bowman would probably be killing a lot more people and probably be uncontrollable. He's like the cool edge to Bowman.
We need that angel on the shoulder, don't we?
Yeah, he's the angel on the shoulder. And Ripper's the devil.
Yes. Then you got Tamara Hawk. She's awesome. So what does she bring to the table?
She's kind of like our Wolverine.
Yeah, that's a good way to explain.
We don't see too much of her in issue 1, but we're going to see a lot more in issue 2.
Yeah.
Well, that's what sucked. Like, I read the first issue, and I'm just like, I need more. Like, this is, and I get it. I told you guys got to make it. I totally understand. But that's a good thing because I'm a big time comic book guy, and when I read an issue and I definitely want to like break open the next one, then you've done your job. We've already talked about Ripper. Then you got Ace West, who is shown drinking, so obviously he's an alcoholic.
He's MIA right now in the storyline, but he'll be back in later issues.
AJ Kumar.
He's like a huge muscled up metalhead that is going to lay down some chaos in the upcoming issues.
Diana West.
That is a whole, she's Ace's sister, and she is off the table right now. And for reasons that will be explained in a future issue.
You're just making my mouth water more. Anyway, Chase Bosworth, we already talked about, but what is his story?
He's big into explosives, big guns,
big heart.
Yeah.
Bison,
the fun sniper, man.
Yeah, you always have to have a sniper, right? And
then one of those gentle giants.
Yeah, exactly. And then Guillermo Martinez.
And Guillermo is somewhat of a fashionista, but also a martial artist and a voracious reader.
Well, there you go. Like I said, like it's just like this, like just to, I mean, it must have been so fun, like Jarrod, like you came up with all these characters and just like, how long did it take you to come up with this group?
Oh, Joe and I were back and forth for probably 5 months creating the Bible for the, and then we lucked out because at my local comic book store, Chris Johnson would frequent there, and I got to know Chris. And whenever we had the Bible and the script written and approached Chris, because like I was just like, there's no way he'll say yes. And he read it. He was like, yeah, I'll do it. And they just totally like, it made everything come to life, and just so proud of it, man. It was like everything kind of lined up how it should have lined up,
Well, they
can't. He helped us out a ton. He's a professional artist, and done a lot of comics. We'd never done one, so he was able to kind of teach us the ropes.
I was gonna say, like, were you like, hey, are we doing this right? Like, what
Yeah,
are we missing?
we did that a lot with him. He was very kind to us and very, he walked us through everything.
Well, that's why I always hear, like, they won't say yes if you don't ask. That's why, like, if I ask, like, a lot of times I reach out to like action people and stuff like that and ask for interviews. You know, and then sometimes they said I haven't actually been turned down a lot. I'm talking to you, Frank Grillo, because that guy always gets the dice.
Hey, you got Scott Atkins though. I just saw that one. That was
listen, yeah, funny.
times.
Like I said, 10 times. Like he's been interviewed the most on my website. He just laughs when I tell him. And actually, I was just telling Jarrod before we went live. I just interviewed him for the 11th time yesterday, and he is I can't, like, he is just awesome. And every time I talk to him, like if you ever go back and watch my interviews with him, it's just me being giddy, and I was like, I'm like, Scott, and he's like, okay, Jock, calm down. Yeah, well, he doesn't say that, but you could just tell he's just like, all right, we talked for 10 times already, and I'm like,
he's as good as it gets in any era, man.
Oh my God, holy cow! He's like, yeah, he's in his late 40s. Like, here's the here's the cover. So here's the first one. This is the Chris Johnson cover. Yes. Yeah. So talk about it.
So amazing. So he was like, Chris was talking to us, what action we need. And we had on our mind something with like Bowman just reaching out to the audience. And then Chris was like, I got it. And, he just took it. And then like a month, was it a week later, 2 weeks later, he had this sketched out. And I was just like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life.
I love how, go ahead. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just the emotion in Lars as he's reaching out. He's got the chainsaw ready to mess people up. It's just so much passion in there, man.
I love how he's like, well, yeah, because I mean, you cinched the action trope. He's not walking away; he's leaping from an explosion. Usually, they're walking away. But I love how he has the dead guy in the back, and then he's coming for more dead people. That's even better. But I love how you guys have the chainsaw on both. You're like, were you guys just like, yeah, both covers have to have a chainsaw? Is that what the consensus? Yeah.
I contacted him and I said, read the book. Give me something cool, and he just came up with that. I'm like, what? I saw it, and I tell Jarrod every time, like, I'm feeling a little down, in a bad mood, I just look at that. I'm like,
yeah,
it's so ridiculous. I love it.
Listen, I come home from work and I'm just like, you know what? I hate life, and I look at this and I'm like, this is the best thing ever, and I just put a smile on my face. But I
poster that on my wall.
Oh my, yes, that's what I said. It's like I need posters. It's like I would totally hang all this stuff up because I have a lot of room. I'm trying to fill it up and everything. So yeah, so that'd be awesome. So okay, now we're going to the creative team. If I can get there, hang on, it's glitchy. All right, so. Obviously, you guys are front and center, but talk about everybody else that comes to the table.
I'll do Chris. Chris, we just talked about him for a little bit. He's this amazing guy out here in LA. He's a local to LA. He's famous on the Ninja Turtle circuit. If you love turtles, he is one of the great turtle artists. I don't know if he's ever done a run or anything, but he's famous for his sketches. They're totally unique for how he envisions the turtles. And he just did Rifters, which is really big in Image. And I think he's working on a top secret thing right now, but he is just such an amazing talent, man. We were so blessed to have him.
All right, then we got Amal.
I found Amal Desai on Facebook, and he's out of Chicago. He's wonderful. He also kind of taught us a lot. When I handed him our script and they're like, yeah, go letter this. And he'll go, oh, by the way, you need to format this for print. I'm like, what format for print? And so he really taught us a lot too, and has helped us a lot along the way. He lettered our main story, he lettered a backup story for us, and has just been awesome all the way. And George Sutil, he is out of Spain. He's done a ton of work for Dynamite. He worked on the James Bond miniseries last year with Garth Ennis, which is a ride, totally worth read. He's done some Army of Darkness stuff. Always doing new projects for Dynamite. He's great. Felipe, I found also on Facebook. He's based out of Brazil. He's done some comics down there. Collision Force was his American debut, and he's a blast to work with, very enthusiastic.
He's a sweet guy, man. He's been so nice to us on social media, and we really want to work more with him. And yeah, I don't think you've read the backup yet, but his backup, we'll send it to you after the show. It's in the digital copy, and it's in the copy that Joe has, the new version that's going out to all the Kickstarter buyers. So we'll send you that after the podcast, and you'll see his mayhem as it's the origin of Ripper.
Oh, okay. Pedro?
And Pedro is another artist I found on Facebook. He's based out of Brazil, and he's a very dynamic colorist. He did the backup that Felipe drew, and then also did the colors on a pinup poster that we created as well.
And of course, we have JC, who looks like he worked too hard on the alternate cover because he's passed out in that photo.
Yeah, that picture of JC cracks me up. And he just draws like the craziest things, like giant hulked up muscle dudes, big guns. So he's right up our alley.
He's legendary, man. That name alone, JC Grande. Can you get a better name than that? Next to Lars Bowman.
I know, right? I'm John Jerva. I'm like, that just rolls off the tongue. I'm like, it's like. So, okay. So like I said, so I put my review out, like I literally, like, if you go down, if you scroll down, I'm like, okay. So, here, can I show you? Well, this was on the Kickstarter page.
Yeah, go for it.
That's inside. Yeah. Okay. So hang on a sec. Yeah. So this is actually the beginning of the comic. This is the mission that goes awry where Lars basically puts himself back out there where they're not supposed to. And he's just
back in from the cold, man.
Yeah, he doesn't give a F. That's what I loved about it. So just explain the beginning and like as part of the process to the intro.
So the opening is Chi and Lars. They are they're still working as a hit squad for the government, but the rest of the Collision Force is presumed dead, and they're going after this cyber terrorist. And he kind of, at the end of their encounter, the cyber terrorist kind of gets the better of Lars, but Lars just, as you said, just rolls with it, doesn't care.
Yeah, and that's the part I loved. He's just like, and then like he's like, it's all right. It's like, it's like, you know what? If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna go all in. Why not? It's like, and then this part coming up here. This is then they come after him, and he's hanging from a tree when they.
Oh, this has been in our mind's eye. This sequence and the double chainsaws on the ATV have been the things that we have talked about for 20 years. Him doing these exercises off a cliff with a chain and the twin chainsaws in the ATV. It just doesn't get more metal than that, man.
I know. I was like, I'm going through this comic, right? I'm like, I was laughing, but in a good way, not in a bad way, but in a good way, because I'm like, this is totally absurd, but in the best freaking awesome way possible.
Yeah, we're not trying to make fun of anything. Because this is truly our expression, and I know we don't believe in irony. Irony for us is weakness. And so this is just us going full force, and we're having fun, and I hope the readers have a lot of fun like you had with it.
Yeah, exactly. So like just going through, like I said, I was going through the hang on. So like here's the and like I'm like, don't delay, the campaign ends tonight. I was like, please, I'm trying to get this out and everything. And I had my daughter that night too, and she's like, because I was like, I gotta get this out because like I totally told these guys, and she's like watching me do it and everything. I'm like putting some of this on. I'm like, don't look there, don't look there, don't look there. Don't look there.
Yeah, I mean, I have a 3-year-old. He's not gonna be able to read this book for 14 years.
Wow. Well, that just sucks. I mean,
well, maybe at least 10, but definitely at least 10.
So anyway, so like okay, so let me just read some of what again, because this is going to go out to the public. So again, if you haven't read my review for it, I was like, just to make sure that this comic is true to the genre that it's celebrating. The storyline starts off with a mission gone awry, and even though it was technically mission success, the job didn't go off as planned. It is because of this fiasco that the evil powers that be know that collision force is very much around and is still tactically operational. And there are a lot of haters of this group of merry mercs that would like to see all of them 6 feet under. And I was like, okay, one, the plot's awesome because that's just that's the best plot to a direct-to-video movie back in the 90s that's on a blockbuster shelf. And then I say the plot alone just oozes 90s military actioner with ample doses of blood-dripping chaos that a horror movie would love to have. I won't spoil any of you because I want you to support this, so I'll just say that the violence on this book would make Art the Clown from the Terrifier trilogy extremely proud. And boy, when I say that, I really mean it. It's excessive ridiculousness in the best way possible, in the book, and the men who created it know who their target audience is. And you guys do know, like I said, like it spoke to me. I mean, like I can't say it any other way. It's like it just, and again, I'm 52, all right, so I'm old. I mean, I don't look it because everybody tells me, but I'm like, yeah, I've been around for.
Yeah.
I know, right? That's what everybody said. They're like, what? Listen, I've been pegged for 35 at some points. I'm like, really? I'm like, thanks. I have to shave though, because you can see the gray in my beard if I don't shave. But okay, so like I'm a product of that era. All right, I was born in 72. So like my first movie experience that I can remember was Star Wars. I went opening weekend. That's my first, that I can remember. But after that, like my dad and my mom were awesome because unless it like had boobs in it, they let me watch anything. And I don't know why. It's like you let me watch this guy chop this guy's head off, but this lady's naked. I never understood that part, but I'm like, whatever. Anyways, so like my earliest memories are me and my dad. My first real action movie was Lone Wolf McQuade with Chuck Norris. I remember sitting with my dad on the couch. We had just moved into this new house, and that's when HBO was coming out. It was all big cable and everything, and that was making the rounds. It was that and the Beastmaster with Mark Singer, who I got to talk to and was totally awesome. And I was like, I got to pick his brain and everything, and I was just like, I'm talking to Mark Singer. Anyway, but yeah, so once I saw Lone Wolf McQuade, I was not only an action fan, Chuck Norris fan, martial arts fan. That was Sho Kosugi movies after that. So when I read this comic book, I was just like, this is like what you would have seen back in the day in the movie Metroplex, because people don't understand. Like it's hard to fathom. And like when I tell people, these were the movies that brought people in and put butts in the seats in theaters. You had Commando, you had Rambo First Blood Part 2, you even had Independence, because you remember Cannon Films, that was it. Menachem Golan and Yoram Globus, they were independent filmmakers that did whatever they wanted, but their movies got into the theaters. And it's a running joke because I do a podcast with my friend Owen Frill from the Action Elite, which you guys.
Hey, the Action Elite's great, man. I love that dude.
So I do his podcast every Wednesday. And they always joke with me because they're like, every time we do an old school action movie, they're like, John, you probably saw this in the movies, right? And I'm like, yeah, I saw it in the movie. I'm like, well, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to apologize. I'm like, yes, I was the perfect age when all these movies started.
It would be Jarrod and I's dream to go see Invasion USA in a theater.
Oh, listen. Yes. Okay.
That's the best, man.
Yeah, so glad you brought Invasion USA up because I remember going to the movies with my dad. Because he had watched Lone Wolf McQuade with me, and that was PG, which I laugh to this day because that movie should have been rated R. But that's how great the 80s were. You could say the F word if it was muffled a little bit. And the violence in that movie was just overwhelming, but it's like PG. But he's like taking me to see Invasion USA. It's like, John, he's like, okay, so I'm going to take you to see this movie, and if it's bad in the terms of, the violence and everything, then no more action movies. You're going to have to wait and everything. I'm like, okay, Dad. And I'm like, oh, we got out of the movie theater. I think he loved it more than I did. I'm like, so I had a big smile on my face. I'm like, oh, good. So we could go home and watch Missing in Action now. He's like, absolutely. He's like, so I'm getting off track though. So going back to this, I can't stress enough to the people because obviously it's not out yet. You guys are getting it ready to give to the people that back the project. And let me just tell the people, when you get it, you're going to be mad because you're just going to want more after you turn the last page on it. And I get it. I go, but this, like, and I said this in the review too. I was like, this is what Schwarzenegger and Slow would have on their bookshelves. Back, like they would have Collision Force on their bookshelves because I know, right? Because that's the best way I can put it. And I just so can you guys give us like a sneak peek of what's ahead for Collision Force without like spoiling anything? Because they haven't seen the first issue yet, so I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself.
I could say stylistically for issue 2, I would say the jump from Bad Boys 1 to Bad Boys 2.
I love Bad Boys. Listen, a lot of people hate Bad Boys 2, but I'm like the ending is like action nirvana.
Yeah, it's so I would say for issue 2, it's probably going to be like that.
Oh,
the jump in the escalation. We're going to try, everything's going to be different, but everything's going to be wild. Issue 2 is definitely going to, I would say, be Bad Boys 2-ish to compare it to the sequel, the jump from 1 to 2.
Yeah, issue 1 has a big spotlight on Lars and Chi, and issue 2, still is going to be a lot of Lars. He's kind of our Snake Eyes.
Yeah.
But the team's going to get a time to shine too. So it's going to be team action against a whole bunch of villains. One thing that's not a spoiler is we have a lot of great friends who paid to be murdered in the second issue.
I was like, man, if I didn't have the cash, I'm sorry, else I totally would have done that. I'm like,
so there's going to be at least 8 people dying in the next issue that pay for that, and it's going to be a blast.
And we have to have a special shout out to the man who paid to be the president of the Collision Force universe, Zephy Daniel, the writer of Society. And he just came in. He's a friend of mine. And then he was like, I want to be the president. I was like, well, you get to be the president. Get the tier. He is, and he'll be the president for at least the first 6 issues.
As long as he stays alive.
Yeah. Yeah. We guaranteed him that he's the character, which will be President Drill, will be alive until at least issue 7.
Yeah. Now, is this like The Walking Dead, like where like like anybody could die at any moment type of thing, even the people on the team?
It's a little. I would say it's almost inverted because Bowman is obsessed with keeping his team alive, and so it's kind of the anti-expendables type of thing, where his team's not expendable, and you would imagine some guy who's as ruthless as Bowman would be kind of like, if they die, they die, but he's not like that. But it almost goes too far.
Well, no, I get it. Like he's crazy. He's bloodlust, but he's got honor and he's got integrity, and if you've done things for him and you've been a good friend, that I can see him being like, you know what, I will do whatever it takes to, keep you. So that's a cool retrospective on him, because it's like, it's like yin and yang, in terms of his character, which is kind of cool. No?
Yeah, I mean, I love Lars. He's me and Joe talk about it. It's like he almost exists as like an other friend of ours. Like, we know him so well, and he's so unique that it's a real honor to be able to tell his story.
And then, of course, when I'm reading the book, and I'm going through, and I'm like, I'm thinking about like live action, like if this was like made into a movie. And I don't know, but like the first person that came to my mind when I thought of Lars Bowman, I mean, I know he has got darker hair, but is Alan Ritchson. I thought that guy would be the perfect Lars Bowman.
Oh yeah,
live action.
He'd be great, man. Oh my god.
So okay, so in terms of the future. So like you're starting with the second issue and everything. So how do we get to 6 issues? Like, is it going to just be more crowdfunding, or
it would depend. Like, ideally, we develop our own fan base, and then we can have a sustainable franchise and have more flexibility. But right now, we're just going to have to keep on grinding and show people why Collision Force is so fun and why they need to be into it. And if we can get that fan base to be self-sustaining, Joe and I don't make any money on it. It all goes to the art, but we have a story to tell, and we know this is totally badass, and we just want to keep pushing it and just tell this story. And if we can get a fan base, we'll keep this going for as long as we're here.
Yeah, we're open to, the plan right now is crowdfunding. If some other options come up, great. If not, crowdfund. And there's definitely a lot of comics out there that have been successful that just keep doing their thing and have that freedom and do what they want. So we're hoping to, do at least 5 or 6 issues, and we'll take it from there.
So like, okay, so like again, like I don't want to get ahead of myself because I'm just excited about this because like I said, like I'm getting back into, because I had the biggest comic book collection when I was a kid, and of course I had to get rid of it for certain purposes and everything, and I lost a lot in a fire too. So yeah, but I'm starting to replenish my comic book thing. But like in terms of the first issue, it sets it up. So now I again, correct me again. I don't know if you've already said it because I've had a lot in my mind since we've been talking. But like now from second issue on, now we're going to get back into like, okay, so there's going to be the mission, and now of course we have to introduce a bunch of villains. Am I correct? Like we haven't really met any. Yeah.
The main villain of the book is going to be someone that you're going to enjoy very much. He's kind of a mixture of Billy Drago and David Bowie.
Oh, okay.
And so it's going to be really, when you see how he interacts with Lars and how Lars can have a villain that exists and isn't just destroyed. And it's this guy who plagues Lars Bowman. I'm itching to tell the story because it's so awesome what we have in store for the future. But yeah, so the first 6, like we're going to tell, it's going to be a big story. And if we can get a fan base, fingers crossed, pray to the action gods, the comic book gods. But we have a huge mythology that we have mapped out. But if all we do is make it to 6, it's still going to be a really good run. But we could go to at least 50, I think.
Oh, you could go more than that. So you're saying 6 issues. So are you saying like this storyline will be like to fruition? It's going to be wrapped up in the 6 issues, like with where you're going.
In a way, yeah. It's going to be like everything's self-contained, but it's opening up a much bigger universe.
All right, now let me ask you this, just going off topic a little bit, and then Joe, I'm going to start with you first. What was your first introduction to action cinema?
I mean, luckily my dad loves action movies, so we were always there. Vivid recollections of some of those early Schwarzenegger movies. I remember how excited we were all to go see Terminator 2. That was like the event of the summer. It was finally getting to see that. And Van Damme, Skull, Bruce Willis, all the classics from the 80s. So, and then Jarrod and I, when we were in college, we just burned through my Netflix account and
Green Scene.
This other one called Green Scene, which had real crazy obscure stuff. So we went through basically any action genre we could find.
Was that called Green what? What'd you say?
Green Scene. It was
Green
this like
Scene
rental service based out of San Francisco that had real obscure horror stuff. I spent way too much money.
Was that like Redbox? Was that like the Redbox or something?
No, it was a mail order. It was a competitor to Netflix.
It came in a green clip.
Oh, okay. So it's like back when Netflix was doing the mail orders.
Yeah.
Okay.
You would get the fringe stuff like the Italian action, the Italian horror, all that stuff.
We would just go like, oh, let's watch all the blaxploitation movies. Let's do it. Let's watch a little Chuck Turner.
Yeah.
Sounds good. And then let's watch every Chuck Norris movie. Okay.
Billy Jacks, all the Billy Jacks.
Yeah.
Even the last one. Oh my God.
Listen, hey, one person's trash is another person's art. That's all.
I totally believe that, man.
Listen, some of the movies I like back in my collection, like there's movies I have that totally suck, and like there's no redeeming value except that there's one good fight scene in it. It could be like a martial arts sequence or an action sequence, and I'm like, this movie totally sucks, but this is awesome, and it's in my collection. That's the kind of guy I am. It's like, and I'll watch the whole movie too to get to that. I won't like I just.
You have to earn it, man. You have to earn it.
That's right.
We were the same way. We would watch so many hours just for that. Oh man, look at that kill. That's so awesome.
And can we all agree that the greatest sequence is in Invasion USA with Richard Lynch and Billy Drago?
Yes.
That is like Joe and I agree, and I think you're on board. that one sequence is so amazing. I think about it every day.
Just
Listen,
if people
go
haven't
ahead.
watched it, you pull it up. It's free. 10 minutes into the movie, just watch and thank us.
Listen, hey, this isn't a spoiler because the movie came out in 1986. So if you haven't seen it, but he not only does he shoot him in the nuts, he spits at him when he's doing it. It's like the best thing. I'm like, that's insult to injury right there. It's like you're shooting this guy in the nads, but as you do it, as he's going down, you spit. And listen, I've always said, and I love that you guys are bringing up Invasion USA because it's one of the best Chuck Norris movies ever. But it's one of, if not the best, one of the best endings ever to an action movie.
Yeah.
Where he walks up behind him, he's got the rocket launcher, he just hears him extend it, and he's just like, and then he just turns around. He's like, and not only does it say it's time, he says, it's time. He says it in slow motion, and then he spins around, and then he blows him out the window. He throws the grenade launcher down, and the credits roll. I'm
Fade
like,
to black. That is the greatest.
It is.
Walk off.
I have never seen a better ending to an action movie. I mean, I'm sure I can think of some more, but
that's our true north, man.
I'll tell you what, when I saw
Bronson movies, Death Wish 3.
Oh my God, that's totally ridiculous in the best ways possible. I mean, even if I didn't have the money to move out of that city, I would have just kept walking. I would have been like, I just would have had like one of those satchels with a stick over my shoulder. I'm like, bye, see you later. I'm like. There's no way you can live there. And like, you can walk down the street, get shot in the head. It's like, holy cow. It's like, that's the worst movie ever. It was such exploitation. Like I said, that's why Golden and Globus were so, they were just like, you know what? We got the money, so we're just going to do whatever we want. And then they got the actors too, like Charles Bronson. You probably saw, because you hear behind the scenes stories, like Charles Bronson, like making, and they're just, he's just like, what? And he's like, okay. He's like, sure, get the 50 caliber out. Let's mow some people down in the streets of, wherever the hell we're at. And then you get Ed Lauder, who was a great character actor from back in the day. He plays the cop. Yeah, so we can go on all day for this. One thing I did want to bring up here, I'm going to have to switch my, hang on, bear with me 1 second, but I'm going to have to, Jarrod, you have something brewing in the pipelines, do you not?
Yeah, I have at Fright Fest, if there's anyone listening in London, the world premiere of my horror movie Pig Hill that I wrote.
I saw the trailer for this.
I'm very proud of it. It's crazy. It's wild. Adapted from a book, a regional book by a woman named Nancy Williams, and directed by Kevin Lewis, who did Willy's Wonderland, and who's one of the best people I've ever met in my life. And the cast is amazing. I mean, you guys, if you dig horror, you guys are gonna love it. And if you're in London on the 23rd, I will be. I want to see you. And then, I'll tell you about Collision Force and this Pig Hill, which is really wild. And then there's a couple other things I got brewing, but this is what's I'm in love with it, man. I mean, it's been we filmed it 2 years ago, and it's just been they got the final cut a few months ago, and then the feedback has been amazing. I really have a good feeling about it.
Yeah, now, like you said, you mentioned the cast, like, Rainey Qualley, who was in Shane West. I love Shane West. He was in Nikita, the TV show that I loved back in the day.
Shane is he was so professional, and he's such a good dude. And thankfully, it's rare, but I got to be on set when they filmed Pig Hill, and he was just a very great person, and he's an incredible actor.
Now, how was it to be there and like see this come to life? Was this like surreal? Like,
Oh, totally, man. I mean, because I moved out here a while ago, and I've had so many almosts, and this is the first one that snuck through, and it made all those years of just getting kicked in the teeth worth it. And it's like, all right, well, I suffered enough. Now we get to have a really good movie. And I was on set. My wife was the script supervisor on set, so she's sitting right next to the director, and I sat next behind them in like a little video village with a DIT guy named Dalton, named after, of course, Roadhouse, which just makes him the most incredible kid ever. And we watched it, and then I would just, director would, after a scene, he'd pop his head over and then just be like, give the thumbs up, and I'd give the thumbs up. But I'm just a cheerleader basically on set.
So, like, real quick, just like, I'm not gonna play the trailer because YouTube, they'll probably ding me if I start playing it. I don't want that to happen because I don't understand YouTube, anyways. I always bitch about YouTube every time I do a recording because, like, there's people on there that like show whole scenes of shit, and like, why is your video on? But then I show this and I'm critiquing it, and they're like, this has been dinged by some guy in Southeast Asia because like your show this. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
I don't get it.
So the plot is Carrie, a woman haunted by a series of unexplained disappearances. As she investigates, she becomes entangled in the local lore of the pig people. And I'm not laughing in a bad way. I'm laughing in a good way.
No.
Covering a terrifying truth hidden in generations of myth. Alongside her new friend, Andy West, and her brother, Chris, played by Shiloh Fernandez.
Yeah, Shiloh's amazing, man.
Yep. Carrie searches for answers and which becomes a desperate fight for survival. I'm just saying, for all you out there, just go check out the trailer because when I watched it, I was like, this is some serious shit. I was like, and you adapted it from a novel, Nancy Williams' 2019 novel Pig. So talk about that process real quick.
So I got. I don't know if you're into horror movies, but
oh, I watch it. Yeah, I mean, listen, action's my first love, but I love all the genres. Yeah, of course.
So I'm pretty close with a lot of horror people out here, and one of the people I befriended was one of the Leatherfaces called R.A. Mahaloff, and he was Leatherface in Part 3, and he's from around the same area where I went to high school, which is in Erie, PA. This town, Meadville's 30 miles south, where the local legend of the pig people. And so they optioned this book. This local producer named Ted Watts Jr. wanted to make a movie. They found this book that was kind of about pig people, and it's really wild, really intense. They gave it to me because they knew I was from the area and asked if I'd adapt it. I read it, and then I saw how if you morphed it a little bit, you could really do something wild, add some mythology in there, and just tell a hell of a story, man. And I'm really proud. I mean, so much of the hard work of the cast and crew, that's really the people who made this movie what it is. And I think when everyone gets to see it, they're gonna love it. If you love horror movies, this is something that I think is gonna be classic.
It grabbed my attention. And where's it premiering? Again, where's this?
In Fright Fest, London, which is the big horror movie film festival for Europe. And that's going to be the world premiere. My wife and I are flying out on the 18th, and we're going to, we'll be there for the premiere on the 23rd. And the director and the producers, and I think Nancy will be there. So we're going to have fun, man.
Well, that's so cool. Do you guys have time? Am I keeping you from anything? Do you have a couple more minutes?
We've got a couple more minutes.
Okay, so real quick, I just want to do something fun with you guys because again, I got a bunch of things. Because again, like going through, like, because again, I'm old. I'm during the 80s, I was collecting a lot of comic books. I don't know, like, if you guys thought of any of these comic books. Obviously, did you guys see that, like, the Punisher's coming back?
I'm excited for this one.
My god!
Yeah.
After the King of Killers, which I love, by the way. I loved how a lot of people hated it because of what they did to him and everything. But I get it because, like, the skull and it was being used for, nefarious purposes because people are douchebags. But obviously I got Punisher vibes from Collision Force.
Yeah.
Here's some of the artwork. But here's a couple obscure ones. I don't know if you know about them. But Marvel did New Universe back in the 80s, and one of them was Merc. Do you guys know this comic book?
Oh, no, I have. I've never seen this.
Mark Hazard, Merc. Yes, this is a comic book. Like they did, it was called the New Universe, where they were trying to put out different brands of comics back in the day.
God.
Yeah, so this definitely came to my mind because I had these issues back in the day, and it pisses me off that I don't anymore. But then, of course, we have G.I. Joe. Again, this is G.I. Joe on steroids. But then, and I'm kind of mad now because, like, I was a big fan of Vigilante, DC's Vigilante. That came to me because he's on Peacemaker with John Cena. He's kind of a joke on it. Like this was more of a serious take on it, but I love this, and that came to my mind. And of course, Marvel's The Nom came to my mind when of course, Frank Castle invaded the Nom because
that's such a That's so
Yeah.
awesome.
So just some of the things that came to my mind when I was reading Collision Force, and those are the titles that came to my mind. Were there any titles like that came to your that influenced you in doing Collision, or was it just movie based?
I would say the Punisher is kind of fundamental for me. Like that was my first comic, the summer special. I don't know if you remember those.
Yeah, of course. Yes, of
And
course.
then
Yes.
so like that was the first thing, and I just remember being at a comic book store that my aunt took me to, and I was just like, "Can I please have that?" And she was like, "Yeah, sure." And my other cousins
She
were
doesn't know what's in it though. She's like,
like, and so I'm reading, and I'm like, "Oh my god!"
did
And
it
then
have this on it though? Like, did you show her the cover? Like, oh yeah,
it was
okay.
yeah, you would see this. It was summer special #2. The cover is
Yes.
amazing.
Yes.
But yeah, and then so I got the book when I was hanging out with my cousins, and then that night we went to the video store, and I was like, "Oh my god, look! There's a movie based on this."
Yeah.
And it was a Dolph Lundgren, and then I was done, man. I was locked in, and then the Punisher went into, which just set me on, like, I'm comic book for life because of the Final Days series. Like that storyline was so amazing, even though it ends insane. The whole thing of just Frank Castle's life imploding, kind of Daredevil-ish, when Daredevil stuff implodes. But yeah, for that, and then when we were writing it, I had been reading a lot of. I got the entire John Sable run, and then Grimjack.
Oh, yes.
So I was reading John Sable and Grimjack, and some of that slipped in there.
And
Joe, what about you? Sorry.
yeah, for me, it's G.I. Joe growing up, and also Punisher. I love that, particularly the Garth Ennis runs on the Punisher. I devoured them. Conan.
Oh yes,
huge
Conan.
influence.
Yeah,
It's more so from the last 15 years than the Marvel stuff. I got into it in the Dark Horse run, and it's also amazing. Titan Comics right now. If you're a Conan fan, you got to read it. So yeah, G.I. Joe, the Punisher, the Boys, all big influences, for me. Plus the action movies as well.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Well, you can't see it, but I got like Punisher, like all back hair and stuff like that. Like, I'm such a fan of people have their like all the movie adaptations and John Berthel doing it on the small screen and everything. Like, I'm such a fan. I'm like, I love it all. I'm like, as long as they put yeah, exactly. It's like Dolph Lundgren's like, he didn't wear the skull. I'm like, you know what? I don't care. He has skull on his knife. It's
he
fine.
looks so cool.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the best action movie ever.
When he was in the sewer meditating on it, that's so badass. I mean, and then Warzone is amazing. Like, oh my god. And then
Warzone is so maligned, and I can't figure it out. I mean, is it over the top? Yes. But it's it's the Garth Ennis's comic book, basically like just blasting out onto the screen. I mean, the one scene, like he's holding the kid and he just shoots the guy in the head with a shotgun. I'm like, you just gotta laugh. It's like, this is the greatest movie ever. And the whole ending is just 15 minutes of him just like going to one-man army. The late great Ray Stevenson, rest in peace. Oh my God, he did such a great role.
He was so good. Like, I remember I went to out here in LA. My best friend and I went to a midnight screening of Punisher Warzone, like the first screening we could get, and we were like in ecstasy the entire time, but we're like laughing, having a great time. We looked down and I saw like a head turn, and I was like, oh no, is someone pissed at us? The guy gets up as the movie ends, and we're just like in heaven. He stares at us, and it was Ray Stevenson. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, are we gonna die?
Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah, it was so awesome, man. I hope we realized.
Did you talk to him?
What?
Did you talk to him?
No. I was afraid that we'd insulted him because we were laughing and having a good time,
I would have totally ran up to him and been like, dude, we were laughing in the best way possible. This is like the best.
When Ray Stevenson gives you the look, man, I can't.
That is a great. Oh my God, that is a great story. Holy cow! All right, I could talk to you guys for like 8 hours. Oh my God, you guys are so delightful, and I'm gonna have you guys on again, I'm sure.
Thank you.
But in closing, just both of you guys, just like real quick, just your last plug, for the future of Collision Force.
Let's just keep track of our Collision Force on our social media: Facebook, Instagram, X, collisionforce.net. Well, that right now that just links to our Facebook, but that'll go to a website here sooner than later. Once we fulfill our Kickstarter, we'll have a website up so people can buy Collision Force. We'll have it available digitally. We'll have it available physically, and we're also hoping to get out to some smaller conventions and peddle Collision Force, because the world needs to know.
Yes.
They need to know what's up.
Go ahead, Jarrod. What are you gonna say?
Yes, we need to get Collision Force existing. So we need to establish a fan base. All the money we make goes to the artists, and we just want to keep the story rolling because we love it and we have a story to tell. So if we can get a fan base and we can do a direct to consumer route, no guardrails, no supervisors, and we just tell the story we want to tell.
Well, I can't thank you guys enough. Like, hey, if you guys want to go on vacation, I'm in Panama City Beach. Come down here, we'll hang out. I'll take you guys to all the comic book shops. Have you, peddle your comic book. And like I said, anything in the future if anything you ask of me, I will do it. I will publish it. I will talk about it. I will do podcasts. If you guys want to come on the podcast and just talk action in general, I'm there for you. I mean, and anytime you guys have something cooking or there's something major going on, just let me know, and I will have you guys on and we'll talk about it. Like I said, you got a friend and a fan for life, because like I said, as soon as you guys reached out to me, and I'm just glad I could put it out the night before the
you saved your bacon, man.
I know, right? That's what I do. I'm the action star, man. I come in the last hour and I mow them down for you. I'm like, hey, you know what? If you guys weren't convinced yet, read this. I'm like, you'll be convinced afterwards and stuff like that. So, all right. So, don't go anywhere. Once I end the recording, I just want to talk to you guys for a couple minutes off the air. Sure. But this is John with ACTION-FLIX.com with Jarrod and Joe, the co-creators of Collision Force. Any Kickstarter, whatever they got the stuff going, I'm gonna publish it. I'm gonna put it out there. Make sure you support them, because if you're into comic books and you're into action movie and you're into really strong built guys with chainsaws chopping people up in pieces, then this is definitely the comic book for you. So give them some love. Make sure you guys are promoting them and helping them out. And let's get get the 6 issues done, right? Let's get these 6 issues going, get them in the can, because like I say, you said 50 issues. I'm like, G.I. Joe, the first line went for 150. I can see these guys going on. Like, I'm not saying anywhere, sometimes somebody dies, some new member comes in, I got ideas
if we get the fan base, we can go on forever, man.
All right. So Jarrod, Joe, thank you so much for joining me. And again, support Collision Force. Any last thoughts before we hang up?
Just thank you, man. This has been amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks,
all right,
John.
guys. All right, no worries. Like I said, don't go anywhere. I'm going to talk to you guys afterwards. But here again, remember, this is ACTION-FLIX.com, and like and subscribe for all. If you guys like all things action, whether it's retro action or new action, make sure you check out my website. I always say this though, check out the website. It's the website, because everybody thinks it's just the podcast. No, I've been doing the website for 10 years, and this is my 10-year anniversary. So give the website some love, give my podcast some love, and I'm going to be doing the audio podcast. I'm going to be starting that up again. But until then, I always say be nice until it's time to not be nice. Later, everybody.